Hello everyone. So today we are talking about recording the drums for my cover song of Adios, which I always get wrong. Au revoir, adios. No, adios, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen. I always get it wrong. It's an old Lawrence Welk song. So I did the drums on it today. Actually went really well, and I'm wondering if it is because everything is set up over there now. I don't have to mess around with it. I just plug it in, set the settings, and away I go. I have no idea. It was just a nice. It worked. I did like 2 takes, and the second take was like, yeah, that's exactly what I want. It's perfect. Well, it wasn't perfect, but it was good. For me, it was good. So I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna mess around with it again, just in case. So let's talk about today. Gonna start the way I did before. Here's just a little snippet of me playing the drums. This is all I did was I did a quick mix down. I have not changed anything from the inputs. I'm gonna discuss what I did for inputs after I'm done this little piece. But I have not done any changes to the inputs. I just recorded everything, and we will talk about that in a second. So here's the little ditty piece that I did. Good night, sleep tight, until we meet again. Adios, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen till then. And though it's always sweet sorrow to part, you know you'll always remain in my heart. And now till we meet again. Adios, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen. Okay, so you can also hear you can't hear the click track on it, but you can hear the bass, the vocals, and the synth guitar, which was the MIDI track that I used to as my follow. And yeah, so the reason I have the vocals on there is because I needed more than just the guitar track, because I needed to know the words. The words are stuck in my head from years and years and years of getting to or having to watch the Lawrence Welk show when my grandmother would come from Germany. She adored the man. So yeah, it's in there, trust me. So I knew exactly where I was at all times on this song. So let's talk about what I did. Now, I didn't do a lot, first of all, so let's just switch over here. More or less, I just compressed everything. So I'm just going to slide over here. You can see I haven't touched any of this. I'm only using 7 of the 8 tracks, and I'm using A, B, C, D, E. So I have snare, kick, high tom, mid, floor, not being used, and then G and H I have the overheads. Now you might be like, and phantom power was on, I turned it off, don't need it anymore, so I just turn it off just as a safeguard. You might be wondering, well, why only 7? Because that's all I need on the drum kit. And secondly, why would I put the overheads on G and H and not F and G? And I will show that in a second. So now if you go over here to the other section, let's just get a little closer here, you can see that I have, it's A, B, C, D, E, G, H. So from tracks 1 to 7, I am recording that. Track 8 in this case has bass on it. 9 is the synth guitar or the MIDI track. Let's call it MIDI track, it's easier. And then 11, 12 is just my vocals, my scratch vocals. Now, why did I do it on the mono tracks? Well, I did it because what I'm going to do is I'm going to run it through the system again, which I haven't done yet, but I'm going to run it through the system again. I'm going to noise gate the tracks, opposed to what I did the first time where I just did compression. And except for the overheads, I'm not going to noise gate them. I'm going to more or less bounce them onto tracks 31, 32. And then what I'll do is, as I do that, I will move them down to the lower tracks on here, and that is how I'm going to do it. So let's just look at what I did with the system. So now all this stuff is going to be, I'm going to talk about the inputs in this case. All I did with here is everything is, except for 6 and 7, which are panned, as you can see, left and right, and that looks like it moved on me. Everything was set to 0 when I started. So I had everything set to 0. Kick was up a bit. Oh well. No big deal. So everything is set to 0 on here. And except for 7 and 8, which are panned right and left. And or sorry, 6 and 7, not 7 and 8. I don't want somebody writing comments saying I got the wrong tracks. So 6 and 7 are left and right for the overheads. So what I did was more in the inputs. Each input, as you can see, the insert effects is on. And if we go to dynamics, I have compression on, and I have compression set the way that I've been setting it for drums. I actually have a file where I store all this information so that I can look at it. Getting a little bit of a glow here. Let's see if we can get it down a bit. Okay, so I'm going to put my hand about there. There you are. So threshold minus 18, ratio 3 to 1. Attack is fully as slow as possible. Release is as fast as possible, and the gain is only 4 dB. And like I said, this shouldn't be moved because I didn't move that. So as you can see here on the inputs, the only ones that I really moved up were the overheads. And that's all I really needed to do. Now I'm going to pause the video here so I can set up for the next part, which is me actually going through and doing the noise gate part of it. I might just record, I might just bounce 7 and 8 down to 31, 32 on their own. I'm going to do that last, but I'm going to go through the noise gate thing. I'm going to set that up, and then I'll be right back. So just give me one moment. Okay, so one thing that I'm going to try to do for this entire series of videos is everything is going to be internal. I don't know about the final mixdown. I might use the external effects because I do like them. All right, so first off, let's talk about what we're doing here. So let me just pull this guy over here. So what I have done, all these over here, these are going to different snakes. This is actually going to the snake. This is going into my patch bay over on the effects loop. These ones here are all the drum mics, and I'm just leaving them in there at the moment because I don't really care. I'm not using them anymore, so that's fine. So these are the drum mic. This is the snake that I've fixed up many times, and it's going into the drums. So what I am doing is the purple is in send 1, and the red is in send 2, effects send 1 and 2, and I have 1 going into G and 1 going into H, or 2 going into H. So that's so that I can fiddle with, now I can only fiddle with 2 tracks when I do this. And what I'm going to do, let's put this down now without popping it. There we go. All right, so if you go to the dynamics section here, I've switched it over to noise suppression on G and H. Now F has still got compression, or it says, yeah, so F had compression off, but as you can see, like everybody else has compression, and G and H are now on noise suppression. And the reason for that is because I want to now try to, like for the snare and the kick, I want to just have like a psh for the snare and boop for the kick. So I want to try to get rid of all the bleed, or as much of it as I can. So the next step I do, so that's track 1 and 2 is snare kick, and on there I will show you on there. Now let's go to the mixer again, and if I select track 1, you can see here that I have it set to pre, and the reason it's set to pre is because I don't want to hear what's coming out of 1. I just want to use I want to hear what it's going to sound like on, in this case, track 21, 22, which I'm going to switch to a mono track, and I pumped it all the way up. So both sends are, the master is set to 120, 127, the effects 1, and now I switch to track 2. I messed up because I'm on track 2, and I do not want to go through effects 1. I want to go through effects 2, but I want the same thing. I want it to be as high as possible, and I want pre. So, yeah, there we go. So that is now on there. That's good. So now those two are set to be used. So now I have both of them coming through. Now what I want to do is tracks 21, 22, that one. We're going to change it. This is a DB32. You can do this. So stereo mono. I want it to be a mono track. Yes. Okay. So now I'm going to assign G to it. So now G is assigned to the 21, 22, 23, 24. We're going to do the same thing. Change it to a mono. Yes. Whoops. What's going on? Say no for a second. I have no idea what it's doing. There we go. All right. So, sorry, I think I'm coming down with a cold, which is just great. So that's now H. Now I'm not going to worry about 23, 21, 22 right now, or 23, 24. We're going to listen to 23, 21, 22. As you can see on 21, 22, I've turned record on. And now we're just going to play. I'm going to turn all the other stuff down here. I don't want to hear it except for the snare. Good night. Oh, good thing I did that. So that means that my vocals, let's go to my vocal track. If you heard that there, it has the pre on, so I'm going to turn that off. And as a double, I'm just going to turn it down to 0. So let's see. So let's try that again. Now I can bring it up. Now you're hearing reverb, and the reason you're hearing reverb is because I'm using reverb. Turn off reverb. So now, let's go back. So, I don't know how well you can hear it on there, but I can hear a bit of I can hear the hi-hat. So let's go to dynamic. Oh, I'm working the wrong one. That sounds pretty good. So what I've done, playing with the threshold, that works quite well. Now, if you're wondering, okay, well, why do I want it to be so short? You don't have to do it this short. I'm trying to clear up as much as I can of the outside sounds, the bleed. Now, what I would do normally, and I'm going to show you now, is, since it's on the effects thing, I would use something like a plate reverb, so that when it hits the snare, yeah, let's just put this up. That's just the overheads going. I just add the overheads there. So yeah, that works out quite well. So now I have it. I have the ability to record it. Let's see where it is on the levels here. Oh, just a second. Let me get rid of the effect again. So it's at a good level. All right, so I got that done. Now I want to test. I want to check. I want to now set number 2, which is going to be the kick. So let's see. Let's go here for a second. Mixer. Make sure everybody's clear on track 21. Everything's good. Oh, level's a little. All right, everything's good. So let's bring up 22 or 23. Sorry. So 23. So this is now going to be the second one. Everything's good. Everything's flat. You want to keep it flat. You just want to be able to listen to it. So we'll turn on the record on that one. I'm going to turn the record off on this one. I could mute it. In this case, I'm just going to turn off the record. So let's go to the beginning. And now we'll just do the kick. And then we do pretty much the same thing. Go to dynamics. Now, what I try to do, I try to get it just where that's all I'm getting is the noise. Sorry again. So I could just throw it right down, but I don't want to. And honestly, using headphones to do this is a great idea because you can hear more. Now, you can't get 100% clean. That's just the way it is. But you can get close. So now I have both of these set up. So I've now turned 21 back on. So both of these are going to record. So if I listen to both. Good levels. Okay, and it's already set to record, so I could actually just do a straight in and out auto punch if I wanted to, which is what I'm going to do. Now, what I'm going to do is, like I said, I'm going to go through all the channels in this case, all the tracks, like for the toms and that, I'll do the same thing. Sometimes what I will do is I will actually only record the parts where the toms are showing up, so then it cuts down on just on space on the recording, like on the SD card. It can be done that way. Yeah, that's about it for now. And I will talk to you later. Bye.